This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
The one and only Bryson Morrow. Welcome to the podcast, dude.
Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, this is actually our second podcast we've done together.
Yep.
Do you remember the first one?
Yeah, it was good with Jordan, talking about where today.
I don't remember what we talked about.
Yeah, it was about the Watt group and our first experience in Moab.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, which was really fun. It was really cool reflecting on that.
That was wild. What did you think when you first pulled up to the Moab house and saw 49 dudes you didn't know?
For me, it was definitely intimidating, and it was a size me up kind of game too. Like I feel like we're all trying to figure out who our core friends are going to be, who we could trust, what ROI could be here, right? As we were kind of navigating the waters. And it's interesting, that was like kind of my first reaction, because usually I'm anti that. Like, I just want to connect. I just want to have fun. I just want to live. But it was kind of funny how what I polarize against came up out of me as like, I'm going to see like what people are made of here and what they're about.
Yeah.
How I compare.
Who was the first guy you really liked?
Jeremy Macy was the first guy that I really connected with. We were sitting in lunch and we just started talking and hitting it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
That's a good question. So I already knew Nick, already knew Ryan.
Who introduced you?
What's up?
Who introduced you?
Well, Nick, I knew him through his little brother, and then Nick introduced me to Jimmy a couple of years before this. And then Ryan actually bought my dad's boat like 5 or 6 years ago when he was married. And then he was my first accountability partner. So him and I had been talking for like 3 months before we actually went down there.
Nice.
And then Max, I knew Max from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And Max and I have been friends for probably 5 years at the time. I think we've known each other for 6 years now. We've been friends for 6 years. So
nice.
I knew all those dudes. I think the first guy that I really connected with down there was probably Michael McHenry. But Nick has been wanting us to meet forever. And then funny enough, he actually started following me on Instagram before I started following him. And we just sat down, and I had no idea who he was. I mean, he introduced himself, right? I didn't know that he was like into like owning restaurants and all this kind of stuff. So we started talking about Nashville chicken sandwiches. And I was like, I go, actually, my favorite Nashville chicken sandwich is at this place called Oakwood Fire Kitchen. And he just like looks at me and kind of starts laughing. He goes, dude, that's mine. And I go, what do you mean it's yours? He goes, I own that restaurant. I'm like, you own that restaurant? I'm like, no shit.
That's
and
crazy.
So we actually started talking about how the mustard cuts through the cold slaw perfectly.
Yeah.
Which is like culinary nerd crap, right? But, and then you know him, right? I mean, it's just a freaking ball of energy and just
Totally.
all over the place. And,
Yeah.
and,
Did he have Sunday's Best open at that time?
ooh, that's a good question. Yes.
Had to have been brand new.
It was really new. Let me think. I don't know when it technically opened. I think it opened in the spring of last year. I think they're around a year old.
Yeah.
So maybe more. I don't really know. That's a good question. But yeah, who else did you like down there?
Who did I connect with? I drove down with Brad and Brett Wright.
Okay.
So I really got to know those guys. Those were actually my first introductions, right?
Yeah.
Which was really fun. Both are very different humans. So it was really good spectrum there.
Yeah.
And connected with Dallin quite a bit. Yeah, it's interesting. I felt like I connected with probably a fifth of the group there. And the next Ludus was like another fifth. Next Ludus was another fifth.
Yeah.
I still have guys I have yet to really talk to and get to know.
Yeah.
And it's not that long of a process, because we've been in it, over a year now. And there's only 55 guys in our group. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
I thought when we went down to St. George, I'm pretty good at getting to know people, right? At least their names. And then when I went to St. George, I was like, oh, this will be cool. I'll know everybody. And I remember walking in that room and I was like, oh shit, I only know like 40% of these guys, maybe 40%.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I remember I wasn't giving Jimmy crap, but I just go, hey dude, you got to get some name tags in here. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, bro, I've met some of these dudes and I don't remember their name. A name tag would help. I'm on the freaking app. I'm like, hey bro, what's up? You look at the app, like catching faces on there.
Yeah.
Like,
For those that had a picture.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have a picture. It's like, oh well.
Yeah.
What's up,
Just
bro?
asking again. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, I think if we went around the room, I'd be shocked if I couldn't name every dude's name at this point. I think by the time we hit Bear Lake, or at least at Bear Lake, I got to know everyone decently at a certain level.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I don't know if I'm social or not. People think I'm like crazy social, but then I don't feel that social sometimes.
I think you're very social and very naturally wanting to help and get out of your own way. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a WOT leader at this point.
Yeah, how wild was that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was you, Bracken, and Ben, right?
And Ben, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Did you vote for any of the three of us?
I voted for all three of you.
Well, there you go. I know, dude.
Those are the three I voted on.
Oh, it was funny, man. I didn't assume that I'd be a leader. In fact, I actually kind of thought, I'm like, oh, you probably won't get voted in because there's like just freaking cool dudes, right? And you never know, right? Like, I mean, there's 55 guys. There's got to be at least one that thinks I'm a douchebag, right? At least one, maybe 5. I don't know. you have no idea.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if I'll get voted in. And then when I heard I was voted in, right, I was like, oh, okay. And then I just had this like really weird thought. I was like, I don't want to be a leader. Like, I'm always a leader. I don't want to be the leader. And then the universe humbled me real freaking quick, dude. Like almost in milliseconds. Yeah. Yeah. It was like, oh, you're going to be an arrogant prick, are you? You know? And I was like, ooh, I don't like that. You know?
That came in like out of left
dude,
field.
Like, bam, right in my head, dude. It's like, don't be arrogant. Like, you know, these guys voted you in. You're literally friends with all of them. You better be the best damn leader you possibly can be. In fact, I texted Bryson, or it's not Bryson, Bracken, I'm staring right at you, Bracken and Ben, and said, hey guys, I don't know really what this means or what we're required, but we've got to come up with something to make us the best freaking leaders that have ever existed. For as long as I don't even know how long we're leaders for. I don't know if it's till the end or if it's like is it till the end? Do you know?
Yeah.
Is it till the end? Okay. Yeah. And I don't even know what that means. Neither do they, right? It's like, how are we going to show up? Like, how are we going to show up as the leaders that we were voted in, right? And maybe it has something to do with government, right? Because I look at our leaders and I think they're all piss poor shitheads and I don't like any of them, like literally none of them. And I'm like, and we voted for all these people. And I'm like, well, if these guys voted us in, I'm going to be the guy that like steps up and just is like, what did you guys need? Why'd you vote us in? Yeah. You know, we're not going to let you down kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of my perspective.
That's a cool comparison.
Yeah.
I guess you're up for president next then. You better start running.
Never. Instantly half this country hates me now.
Yeah. I mean, those guys aren't even the ones in power anyway. It's the guys with the money who is like controlling those guys, right?
Yeah, I'll try that way.
Yeah. There you go.
Plus, it's like then they're going to pull up my internet search history and I'm going to have to own up to that in front of the whole country. No,
yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Because did you ever, when you were a kid, did you ever hear that book called Steal This Book? Mm-mm. Like taught you how to like steal from ATMs and make bombs and all this crazy stuff. Oh yeah, dude. They got pulled out of like all sorts of bookstores. And,
really? Mm-hmm. Interesting. No, I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's because you're too young, right? How old are you?
30.
Yeah, you're a young buck.
How old are you?
I'm 41.
Oh, you're young too.
Yeah, younger.
Yeah.
Youngish. Yeah, it was kind of a big thing in the 90s. And so, anyways, I don't even know why we're talking about that. But
who is the oldest guy in our group?
Let's see, the oldest guy in our group. I think Tony and Bracken are both like 44, 45. Is anyone older than that?
Max is 46, I think.
Oh, Max is the oldest. Max is 48.
48.
Oh, that'd be good. Max will be happy I didn't name him right off the bat. I don't ever see Max as that old. Here's another problem. I literally feel like everyone's my same age, right? That's why when I start talking, I'm like, how do you know this book? And I'm like, wait, how old are you? And you're like 30. I'm like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I mean, hell, you could have told me 25 or 35. I've been like, oh, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah. Well, Max is reverse aging, so.
I know, basically, right? Oh, shit. Good looking chap.
Yeah, dude.
So, yeah, I don't think we had that one guy, Brian, that was in the group for a minute. I think he was like late 50s or something like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, Max might be the oldest that I can think of. So
what was like the biggest reason you joined the group? Like what was in it for you kind of a thing?
I joined the group because Nick asked me to join the group because he said it would strengthen our friendship.
It was solely just for your friendship, or did he see like something in it for you too?
I don't know. I don't know how he'd answer that. I don't know if he thought this would be good for me to join this group or, I'd actually originally told Jimmy no. And then I think it was the same day Nick came over to my house and was like, come on, man, just do it. And, you know, Max was encouraging me as well, but like, it was really Nick that was like kind of putting the screws in me. And I was like, whatever, fine, I'll do it. And I remember telling Jimmy, I was just like, dude, oh, maybe I didn't tell this to Jimmy. I think I told it to Nick. I was just like, dude, I don't need to be motivated, you know, because a lot of these men groups are just like rah, rah, rah. You know, like there's no real substance behind it. It's a bunch of worksheets, just extra shit you have to do. And funnily enough, in this group, I think the reason why I got so invigorated in it is because of the first module on gratitude. Because I didn't realize how much I was not having gratitude for like everything in my life. Like, I think if you would have asked me, I would have given you a good answer. But like sending off that list every morning of the 10 things we're grateful for, like that really changed my heart. You know, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I like the gratitude side of this. And I started to meet really cool people. And I love the buzz at Moab, man. I remember like kind of like shaking everyone's hand and like,
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I was watching a lot of? People's tats. Because I'm really into getting tats.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I remember seeing your tats, dude, and like Jeremy's and then Jake's. And then Ryan's, of course. But I've already seen those ones. And
Leo's got a lot.
Who?
Leo.
Yeah, Leo's. I looked at Leo's. So, yeah, it was just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of fun. It's one of the things I noticed. I'm like, oh, that guy's kind of heavily tatted. That guy's got a little bit of tats, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I also just kind of got this vibe from everybody where it was like, yeah, we're all just kind of in this together.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, I like that brotherhood kind of thing.
Yeah. Question for you. So you're obviously a badass entrepreneur, very successful. You know, I've learned a lot from you and you've taken time to kind of coach me on things too and still do. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
When you get, one thing I've noticed in the healing world is like as I go into like these psychedelic medicines or even breath work or even just meditation in general, and I heal those things deep inside me that create these desires outside of me that make me that want to be, not like better than who I am, but almost not accepting of who I am. You know what I mean? Like when you have that wounding that's driving you, maybe you have like father wounding. That's like, I want to show my dad that I'm the best motherfucker out there. Right. Yeah. And like, it's not like I'm going to show him, I'm going to show him. Right. Right. Not with love, but like I need to do it for myself so that the acceptance my dad didn't give me, I can finally get.
Yeah.
Like once you heal all of that, have found that my desires for wanting to hit a certain benchmark in money or business or growth, whatever it is that's outside of myself, to become very minuscule, if not even existent anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like in your background, like where you've been in the entrepreneur space for so long and very successful, as you started doing deeper dives into yourself with psychedelics or even like the gratitude thing, was it harder to operate as an entrepreneur, or did you find new ways to bring in meaning to your work to still hit that grind every day?
I never was motivated by like showing someone else what I was going to do. Right. So when you talk about like, I don't have very many negative people that I'm like, I'm going to show this dude what's up. Right. I mean, it's always been about me. It's always been about me living up to my potential. Right. Which is kind of sucks because that's undefined. Right. Or it's redefined, I should say. It's actually redefined like almost every day.
Yeah.
Really, it's redefined for me almost every quarter, you know, where I'm like, hey, well, what's my potential? What am I supposed to be doing? Where am I supposed to be at? And of course, once you start having kids, it really changes, right? Because then you're like, well, my purpose is this.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to leave these. I got 3, right? So I got 3 of these kids I'm going to leave behind. That's my legacy, is these 3, you know? But I would actually say I'm more motivated in the entrepreneurial space or the business space, which is, I mean, all that stuff's kind of broad, right? But I almost feel like there's a pressure building in me that I need to perform really well to back up what I say. I guess that's probably the biggest motivating factor, right? So I'm a systems guy. So like we've talked about stocks, right? So I've been buying stocks since I was 21. Right? 401k, IRA, and my own personal brokerage account. And it's a system, right? So when I was 25, I could kind of see it move and grow. It was 4 years in, you know, whatever. And it was like, yeah, pick some good stocks and, you know, I've got a good plan with this, you know, but like no one would listen to me. Like all my friends are like, yeah, whatever, you know, like stocks, blah, blah, blah. You know, I've got to do this. I'm buying a new car. I've got a Corvette, you know, all this dumb shit. And I remember like once I hit like 10-year mark, I was like 31, right? I talk about it openly with people, and I actually got accused of being by a lot of people that all I cared about was money. Ended up leaving the Mormon church about the same time. And I had some family members say that, my new religion's money and all this kind of stuff. And it pissed me off because I was like, no, I have a system. Like, I'm just following my system. Like, it wasn't like today I decided I care about money, Then by the time I was like 35, people really started noticing like my lifestyle changes, very subtle lifestyle changes. And I kind of stopped worrying about money. But I also had created these systems that like, you can't break them. Right. Like I could take 6 months off and not a damn thing would change in my world, unless I had a bunch of employees leave or something, but they probably won't, know? So I think I've always been motivated by just creating this system, which is another reason why I like, plant medicine and that kind of stuff, because it's also a system. It's a system of self-discovery and realizing stuff. Because a lot of people get into that, right? And they feel like it's all about healing, because it's really easy to bang that drum, right? Because everyone's got something, right? I like to bridge the next gap to, okay, now you got to grow. Like you've healed. Like whatever happened, you've dealt with it. You've decided it's not going to affect you anymore. You're not living in the past anymore. Okay. What are we doing now? Like, what do you want to do now? What fulfills you? What makes you happy?
Yeah.
And then how do you blend your responsibilities into what makes you happy? Because you're like, of course, having zero responsibility and nothing, is kind of a blissful moment, but that really doesn't make you happy. You've always got to kind of be moving down the path towards whatever your goals are. So me personally, right, I've got some businesses I really want to grow. I really want to create some situations down the road for like some big exits. And I love the investing world and like the venture capitalists or venture capital world and that kind of stuff. And I want to share that with people that want to get involved in that side, right? Yeah. And go, oh, my friend's Mark, I can trust him. This is the stuff that he's doing. I've done really well up to this point, but now I got to put my money to like real work, not just like buying a rental property or something like that. I want to put it in something that's going to 5-10x. And I need someone to guide me in there. So I'm almost like kind of a guide into that world. And in that world, there's a endless amount of money. So I think it's kind of like where you find your joy. Do you find it in like actually holding a dollar in your hand or building something that makes you feel successful? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Kind of a long version.
Yeah. Cause I've noticed like a lot of my reasons for the success I've had have been on things that aren't necessarily me. Right. So like one of the things that I recently realized that I actually want to talk about on my Instagram eventually is in order for you to find greatness, you have to find yourself first. Like, I think that's like the most important thing. For people who are getting into entrepreneurship or starting to do their own things or wanting to build something even outside of the work life, like find yourself first, because it's easy for us to grab onto other people's shit of what greatness is and their ideas and their beliefs. Like if Tony Robbins is your role model, and you love what he says, you're going to adopt a lot of what he says and kind of make it your own. I feel like that's where we first start when we try to find ourselves, is kind of adopting other people's stuff and testing it. But I feel like I've really found myself over the last 18 months, done a complete 180 on who I am and what really matters to me. And when I look back, I can see the decisions I made and the successes I had weren't necessarily who Bryson was. They were who he thought he was or what he wanted. So I'm kind of in this transitionary point in life where I still have this guy of who Bryson was in existence now with the things that he's operating in, both, mostly in the business side. And I can't really peel away from it yet. So I'm trying to look for like a transitionary or exit plan on that and opening up something else that's more aligned with who I am. Yeah. So that's why I asked that, because I'm like, it's curious as you change and heal and learn more about who you are. Your motives for why you do things are different. And then not only your motives, but your visions of what you actually want completely change. And it kind of changes the course of how you live and what you do day to day,
Yeah. See, and I would listen to what you're saying. I would put your business stuff into efficient processes that free up more time to do other things.
Yeah.
Because that way you always have those strong lines that are just kind of moving, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then, this life is kind of funny, right? Because you could find your true calling, but you might not have prepared for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So then you got to go, well, this is my true calling. This is what I really, really, really want to do. But I've also got married and have kids and I have a mortgage and all this other shit. Right. So then I've got to like, well, if I want to like follow my true passions, then I've got to take care of my responsibilities first. Right. And it's interesting too, because I've had a lot of guys bring me companies they want to buy, or like, you know, so I can look at the P&L and kind of talk to them about it, and which I love doing, by the way. I'm a freaking nerd at that kind of stuff. But I also want to say to them, it's like, guys, you don't blind jump ever. Like no one in business ever blind jumps. You know, you might hear some, I don't know, there's all these little stories out there, right? They like to take billionaires and try and emulate what a billionaire did. It's like, don't waste your time doing that shit. Yeah. Right. Because the chance of you coming up with a multi-billion-dollar company in your brain and just falling into it is like, come on. You know what I mean?
Slim.
It's crazy. Yeah. But look at guys that are worth $30-40 million. Emulate them. Right. Which is what I've done. And I've looked at these guys, even guys I know that are worth $500,000. I actually know a few billionaires themselves, but cutting them out, but going down to the guys that are worth a couple $100 million, it's like, yeah, they built processes. It's just is what you do. And even when you build a small company, right? So you got 10 people that work there, and you get, 8 of them are salespeople, the rest of them are staff, right? You build a system on those 8 people that can make a commission, and every time they make a commission, you make money. You just starts building, right? Then you add another 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, all the way up to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people that as long as they are making money inside your system, you're making money off of them, right? And that's the whole capitalist proposition anyways.
Is the main variable to this formula and systems people? Like being able to delegate and get more off of your plate.
Yeah. I mean, good products and services, and then people. Yeah. Right. And there's certain checks and balances I've never taken away from my companies. Like I control the money out. Like any one of my companies can bring money in, but I control all the money out. And the reason for that is just so that people don't, steal from you or like pay the wrong bill or like have some shit happen to your cash
Make
flow.
sure you're healthy.
Yeah. As long as your cash flow in your business is healthy, you can pretty much do anything. Yeah. Right. You can grow, you can stay stagnant, you can, add some more people, you can be happy with where you're at. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things you can do with that. You can sell it, all that kind of thing.
How do you manage that? Do you just meet with your accounting team once a month?
It's all in the software. No, so it's basically paying bills, right? So I pay bills. Actually, I pay bills almost every day. And so, but sometimes I'll go for a while and not pay them. Like when we go on trips and, stuff like that. Like I don't pay bills, I'll pay them, then I'll get back and pay them. Yeah. But I also have this thing where in my world, a lot of people get paid net 30. I pay most people net 5. So as long as you've given me an invoice that's been approved through my system and it's ready in the bill pay section of my software, I'll just pay it.
Just want it out of mind. Done.
Yeah, I just keep enough cash. And then that way, if I ever get into a situation, which has happened before, where I get really, really tight on cash, then I talk to my 20 vendors or whatever, including some installers that work for me and stuff, and just be like, hey guys, we don't have that much cash flow coming in. It's going to be about 20 days right now. And they're all like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
It's because you have that good relationship with paying them up front and quick, so they're not having to hunt you down. Yeah. The relationship starts to hurt when you start going past what you decide in the net, right? Because we do net 32, and man, it really soils relationships when you start breaking that, because companies need that cash flow to operate and to pay people, especially if you're a commission-based business model,
Right.
So,
or even my world of construction, man. It's like, dude, we got to put pay applications in. Like, I don't get paid on most jobs. I bet we get paid from the day we install something. We're probably, 65 days before we even get a check. Yeah. Right? And then we get 10% of our 5 to 10% of our overall payment gets held for like 6 months till the end of the project. It's called retention. And so you have to have a lot of cash at the beginning, right, to kind of pay all those bills. In fact, in the start of my career, I learned that. I'm like, I just got to keep a coffer of a ton of cash. Like I keep way too much cash in my businesses, way too much. But that's because I like to sleep at night. If anyone ever calls me up or I have opportunities, or like let me think about this. Last week, we just got like a $1.8 million contract down in the south of Texas. And the guy that got that, part of it is he needed $350,000 up front, right, to get all the materials and get going on this job. Now he'll do weekly billings, and then he'll blah, 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 right? So I only had to float $350K for, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 days before we actually get paid. I think we get paid like this Thursday or something like that.
Was this for your court business?
No, it's for my athletic equipment company.
Athletic equipment.
Mm-hmm.
How many businesses do you have?
Currently?
Yeah.
That I operate?
Yeah.
Three. Well, 4. Actually 4, but yeah. But
The equipment, then you have the flooring, right?
Yep. Then I have the spirits company and the private equity fund.
Awesome.
So yeah, all at different stages of growth.
Yeah.
But see, for me, I just sent the wire. Like, it's no big deal. Right. And then, once we start making payments on that, but all we do is push paper on that deal, and I'll make like 15 to 18%, and it'll be done within 30 days. So those opportunities could not come to me if I didn't have the cash to begin with. Right.
Yeah.
And so, whenever I advise people on, running a business, you just have to keep a lot of cash. And like, even today, I just had one of my bankers from Chase call me, and every time, I have more than $1 million in cash in an account, he always calls me up, right? And he's like, hey, we could put that in a CD. And I'm like, stop calling me. I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you this. I don't want your mutual fund. Yeah. You know what I mean? No thanks. Your products suck. Yeah. You take my $1 million and go lend $20 million on it.
Yeah.
Like, you've made your money, bro. No thanks.
Totally.
And so, but that's also just kind of good business practices, and it makes life easy for you, right? Because you guys run a business, and it's like if you run out of cash or you get really close to cash, you're freaking stressing your ass off, right?
Yeah. Then
you start looking at financing options, and you're like, well, I don't want to wrap my house up into this. I don't want to wrap my, whatever, my 401k up into this, or my investment portfolio. It's one of the things I've been able to do really well is I don't have any of my assets wrapped up in any loan that I have, like none of them. Yeah. I won't even personally guarantee a loan.
That's good.
Because screw them, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so, mine are a little bit different. They're lower ticket. I think like for the landscaping side, the biggest, one we've done is like $250,000. Yeah. Mostly like bigger residential finishes for new development in Park City and Heber. But it's a service. So they're covering it's 50% up front, 50% on the back end when it's finished, right? So we always have, even if we didn't have cash in the bank, we'd always have that money up front for those buyers for that. And then with the recruiting on the tech side, there's a little bit of delay there. Want to make sure we have cash more on that one because we're paying out commissions before we're paid by the client. Mm-hmm. And so there always needs to be, money in the bank for us to pay the employees to keep stuff going.
Why don't you wait until you get paid to pay the employees on
that? Because we do draws, right? And the sell frequency at which people are closing is like 3 to 5 times a month, right? And so the draws are 6 figures. And so the draws will take up some of those commissions. And what we've seen is the morale and the excitement comes from the bigger commission checks, keeps people motivated and going, wanting to close a lot more. Yeah. And so we do a 30-day payment from when the deal is closed. So like when we place somebody at a business, let's say, for instance, I hire you as a software engineer, your start date is until like May 29th, right? But then my net 30 starts on May 29th, but then the employee closed you today. So he's going to have to wait 2 months before he gets paid rather than when the employee starts, right? So it's just really the timeline. Like if we wait too long to pay someone on the back end the commissions, which a lot of agencies do, they'll wait until they get paid by the client. And the problem is it just depends on the frequency of how often someone's closing deals, right? If that's like a $30K commission, but they don't get paid at 3 months, their draw already sucked that up. So then they're never really seeing that as a commission, even though draw is technically commission covered. It's just, it's like the display almost is really what we're going for. Yeah. They're all getting paid the same. They're 100% commission. They're getting the money. Yeah. But how they see it and the lump sums they get it and at the timing of it helps keep them, the snowball effect going with momentum, builds morale, gets people excited, makes them wanting to work more, so it's really psychological really why we do it the way we do.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. And the sales guys, it's kind of funny thing. Even my business, right? For my sales guys, when they make commission, I pay them all up front as well. And I don't see that money for 3 years. So, because we got to build a school, right? Yeah. So, we get contracted at the beginning. So as soon as we get the contract or a letter of intent, even I pay these guys their commissions, right? Yeah. And they accumulate to the end. I pay them monthly. Yeah. But, Yeah. So yeah, we don't see the money for freaking ever. They got to build a whole damn school. Then we got to install our shit. Then they got to finish the school. Yeah. So yeah, it's like 2 to 3 years. High school.
It's like a win-lose either way. Cause like it's out of your hair of paying those guys. If you're in a kind of situation, you still have to pay them. Right. But then it's also like you're kind of securing your force and all of that. The funds.
Yeah. Our bookings are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we would switch it around if we had to and create new policies if we were constantly playing a game of catch up. I mean, I think we'd have a problem with our business model if we were playing a game of catch up anyway, right? They'd have a different problem than that. So
that's a good point, because if you aren't cash flowing well, you got to look at your business model.
Yeah, like something else is going wrong.
Yeah, something else.
If that's your pain
wrong.
point. Yeah. So yeah, but it's worked.
So how'd you get into the recruiting?
I was doing door-to-door solar cells and then inside solar cells. And I loved building sales teams and doing sales trainings. That was like my favorite thing. Yeah. When I was Mormon and I went on an LDS mission, when I was a zone leader, I loved training. I loved like doing role plays on like how to, the psychology of getting someone to convert, Yeah. So I loved the training. I loved the sales game, but I loved the training more of the sales game. Teaching other people how to be really good at just persuasion and more connecting with people and getting them to open their heart. And so that's when I got into recruiting, because the solar business I was at the time, Sun Edison, went through a Chapter 11. Mm-hmm. And then we were all laid off after that. And then I jumped into a recruiting agency. It was called -2, which means wingman in the military. And we were company's wingman. And I basically was recruiting for software engineers and product managers for big tech and startup companies. And I loved it. So much fun. Because you get the sales aspect, but it's not a product sales where you've got to really convince them on why it's a great product to buy. Yeah. It's really like, oh, well, what are you looking for? What kind of opportunities do you not have in your current place of employment? If you could have more of something, what would it be? And then it's like you just gauge for alignment with what opportunities you have. Oh, I've got 5 companies that align with that. What are you more excited? Do you like a bigger company or a smaller company? And then it's just playing a game of elimination. It's like, dude, look at this. This one's fucking awesome. It has everything you need. They're building this product. This is the roadmap. Here's what you'd be doing day to day. How does that sound? And then they are stoked. And then that's not where it ends, though. Now I got to go talk to the hiring manager. Be like, yo, just talk to this person. Whittled it all down. He's perfect for the role. Talk to him. And then he's got to be sold that he'd actually like this guy. So then they meet and interview. And then there's a technical portion. All that has to align. And if he doesn't like him, or maybe his technical skill sucks and he loves him as a person, well, now I'm doing the whole process 5 more times. It's usually like a 3 to 5 to a hire, right, on those numbers. So it's just like, and then you get an offer negotiation, and that's fun. Like, oh, he said he wanted $200K base salary. It's like, well, I told you that, we only had budget for 180. I'm like, well, I mean, you want to top of market. Like, this guy's coming from FANG tangential companies. He built a 0 to 1 company. And you want them at like a mid-level price. It's not going to happen, right? So like, make it happen, and then he'll raise the bar of your current engineering work. Like, it's just it's a tactical strategy game constantly, and that's why I like it. Yeah. Especially with 0 to 1 startups, where they have to be very careful with their burn, but they really need the talent. Like with product, it's fun because you have to be uber careful with when you build product. If you try to play it short and you just get people in that can kind of code, well, 6 months later you're refactoring your entire code base and you're spending more time and money. That's going to increase your burn because you just didn't spend the money right up front the first part. So yeah, that's the whole like business negotiation piece I love, where now it's like, no, we're here to build your teams the right way, and it's educating owners on that, because especially new entrepreneurs, which we do work a lot of. There are guys that come out of Stanford. They have these really good ideas. Maybe they're backed by Y Combinator or A16Z or something. They've got like an awesome seed round, 5 to 10 million. And then they're like, okay, we got this money. We don't want to let the VCs down. We got to report to them quarterly. And it's like, what we do. So it's really cool for us to come in and be like, here, we got your back. Here's how we can help you build your model. So you don't have to worry about this. We can do the talent that can do that for you. So you can focus more on the selling and the mission, and let the product engineering kind of unfold on its own through your talent. Yeah. So that's how I really got into that. I went corporate for a while too, where I went completely internal. I wasn't doing it from a consulting basis, and that was fun. And it was cool because my equity paid out of that company. It was Divvy, right? Went from product to market to acquisition at 2.5 billion in 3 years. Like, it was absolutely insane. We went from 50 employees for first year to about 600 by the third year. And the hiring and the business and the strategy and the constant rat race of keeping up with competitors who saw our idea and were just coming after us for it. So, but now I'm back to agency. I'm back to like doing the consulting side of it with multiple companies, which is a lot of fun because it gets tiring selling one jersey, for 3 years. But
yeah, it's funny you say that. Alex Bean is the fund manager for the VC fund that I'm a venture partner at.
Yeah.
So
it's brought on Fredette and all that, right?
Yeah, Fredette, yeah.
You're raising money for him too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, McKay Dunn is the guy that got me involved, his partner.
How's that been going?
So good, man. Yeah, it's easy to raise. So
what makes it easy? Like what does it take to make it easy to raise? Is it because you probably can't do that just for anybody, right? Probably have to be good names. You have to have good backgrounds. It has to be the right mission and purpose to get people rallied on.
They've got good projects. So it's pretty easy to raise money for good projects. And so Alex and McKay came from a venture fund as well. So, McKay came from a venture fund. Alex came from Divvy, right? And so they're seeing really good deals that other people are not going to go see. Not every deal. Some of those deals are pretty public, right? But like, but like if you're looking for a venture fund, you're like, okay, I want to get into a deal, right? I want to see what deals these guys have. It's like buying real estate off market, right? You're never going to see it on the market. So you want to go to these guys and they're going to place your money into good deals. Yeah. They also have a good strategy in the fact that they want to do seed rounds with people. And so we're raising a $25 million fund to go do seed rounds, which you only invest like maybe $500,000, maybe $1 million in seed rounds, right? Yeah. But then they're going to do separate funds, separate pots for A round, right? So once seed goes through, if the companies are successful, then they want to take over the A round of funding, or at least part of it.
Alex's new venture, they want to start doing A rounds too? Yeah.
Oh yeah, they want to get into PE as well. So
are their projects mostly around tech?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're mostly in tech.
So they're looking to be like another Paleon or something like that.
Probably. I don't know much about those guys. So I haven't actually, I've invested in venture, but I've never like been a partner in the fund with venture. But I love venture. Yeah. There's so many different aspects with it, right? Venture is very risky. Private equity is actually not that risky. I think people don't understand how that works, right? All they hear is like, well, private equity managers are rich, right? Well, it's like, yeah. Do you know why they're rich? Because they raised a bunch of freaking money and went and made a ton of money with it and enriched their investors. So if you really want to see the people that make money, look at the investors, right? And they're generally wealthy dudes, right? You're worth 30, 40, 50 million bucks. And yeah, you go throw $2 million in a PE fund and yeah, they 6x your money in 3 years. And yeah, but the problem is not the problem, but those guys never talk about it, right? Because they're already wealthy. So it's just like, whatever. It's just another thing inside their system, right? Ventures, higher risk but higher reward, right? So you might throw if you throw $500,000 and you have 10 investors, right? Everyone put 50K in, it's not that bad, right? But if your A round's at 25X, you know what I mean? You put $100,000 in, you got freaking $2.5 million return on that. Yeah. And most of the time, most seed guys leave their money in for A. It's very rare they pull their money out because if they've been successful to do an A round, they're mostly going to get taken out in the B round.
Yeah, or C too. Pull out on their secondaries.
Yeah.
Secondaries.
I would never personally go that long unless they were going to go public in C round, or B round. But that's my strategy, right? I think at some point you have to take money off the table at some point, right? The people that just let shit ride are the ones that end up on American Greed, right? Because they're just like, oh, I can't believe this bullshit. I was worth $20 million for 5 years, and it's like, you never were. They just keep on rolling that money. Yeah. I think taking your money off the table sometimes makes the investment real, right? Totally. And so then you just go, pay some tax and go on to the next one. Yeah. So
it's interesting as like a tech entrepreneur, right? Like, if you can just build a product long enough to get to a high valuation at a series B or C, you can actually make your wealth. you don't need to get acquired or IPO.
Yeah. As a founder, absolutely.
Yeah. As a founder, yeah. For your employees to, and the extended part of the company to, get any value out of their equity, it obviously needs to go through an acquisition or IPO or something, some form of exit. But yeah, as a founder, if you can get it that right, which is still probably pretty small, right? For like, especially in the tech world, for founders to get to that level. Or honestly, like I work with such great VC-backed companies. All I see is this is happening.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing everything else outside of that. So I imagine what I'm seeing is the small piece of the pie.
Well, no, I mean, but here's the thing. There's all different levels of success, right?
Yeah.
In finance, or I should say tech, right? They all want to be a unicorn, right? So they all want $1 billion valuation.
Yeah.
And I think if they fall short of that, they don't feel like they were successful, right? But if you really look at it, say to start your business, you only needed $1 million, right? And then that valuation blows up to $250 million, and then you sell it. You made a hell of a lot of money.
A ton.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially if you were able to keep, and that's another thing with founders, right? People don't get this. By the time you hit freaking A and B financing rounds, dude, those guys are diluted down to like 15% most of the time. Right? It's pretty rare that they're not, because the investors are going to come in and take a chunk because the risk is insane.
Yeah.
Right? Seed round risk is about as high as you can get. Right? It's normally 2 or 3 bros. They're like, hey man, got this cool idea. What's an accountant? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they just they have no support staff. There's no billing person. There's no HR, right? It's just like 3 bros that know how to code. And they have somewhat of a decent idea, right? And that's why they only get 200 grand sometimes. It's like, oh, here's 200 grand. Let's see what you guys can do with this, right? And then it might come through and they'd be like, and some of the times that's a loan, right? And then they might do like an actual A round where they do like $1 million or $2 million, maybe even up to 5 million, right? Some of these other ones. But I think what you see sometimes with VC groups, it's all about their strategy, right? There's some like the Sequoia group out of Palo Alto, right? Those guys want to ride the entire way to IPO every single time, right? Yep. Because there's just so much freaking money in that. And so they're really only going to put their money into ideas that are like revolutionary, like Dropbox, Facebook, right? Like
it's like most of the $1 billion VCs, Andreessen, Graycroft, Tiger, Felices, all those guys.
Yeah, probably the same. Yeah. And so it's interesting to like kind of watch how they fly, right? And a lot of those guys too, like they'll take some flyers. I mean, really it's 2 out of 10, right? You need 2 out of 10 to hit and everyone makes a lot of money. What you can't have is 0 out of 10 hit, right? And then if you get real lucky, you might have 4 or 5 out of 10 hit. And when they hit, it's all different time periods, right? It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be whatever, right? Yeah. But it's not a bad, if you've done well, let's say you're worth $5 million, right? And you have good cash flows coming from your businesses. It makes all the sense in the world to take $200,000 or $300,000 and go throw it in a VC fund. Just put it in their seed fund, let them go crazy with it. And then, every 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to be like, hey man, we put 75 grand a year into this project and a 10X. So, I got 750 grand now. Wire's coming. If you want to put into our next fund, this is the next 5 deals that we're doing. You go, cool. You take $250,000 of that back and you put the rest of it back, pay your taxes, of course, and put the rest of it back in that fund, right? Let them do it again, rinse and repeat that crap. Yeah. But if you've been rinsing and repeating that from 40 to 65, bro, you have made so much money in these funds. It's just, and that's where like, you don't even give a shit about money anymore. You just don't, right? Cause by the time you do, I don't know, say you do 3 rounds of yourself, you've invested 3 different times and maybe you got like $1 million in there. I mean, dude, you could 10, 15, 20x that money multiple times. And it's just, it seems easy. That's the thing that people look back and go, whoa, what the hell? It was really, really easy. It's like, no, dude, it just takes time. You have to trust those people and put the money into the projects that make sense. Yeah. That's really all that it is. And so the only thing you can't do is put it with VC managers that just don't know what they're doing. Yeah. If they don't see a lot of deals, I would say in VC, they should be turning down 100 deals for every one that they want to do. At least.
It's a lot of investigation.
It is. But when you get that one, though, you go wild. So NERSA is a deal that I personally invested with. And if I remember right, NERSA's seed round 83x'd. And they're and I'm in there, I invested in their B round, so I'm waiting for the IPO to happen. So
what does NERSA do?
They're basically like, the Uber for nurses, right? So if you're a doctor and your nurse calls in sick, you can just get on your nurse thing and say, I need a nurse here, and they send you one within an hour. And it's kind of fighting the traveling nurse world, right? Where you have these nurses that have been working at a place for like 10, 15 years, and then they hire some chick from California because she wants to be a travel nurse, and she makes 3 times as much as the local chicks, right?
But they're not employed, so that's why they can make them. They can pay them too.
Yeah.
Not W-2.
But it's very expensive for the hospitals, especially because now the sentiment is, well, screw this, I'm going to go travel too. So now a lot of their workforce is becoming traveling nurses, and they've literally just 3x their cost instead of just like having better hiring practices. So
after COVID, it became a lot better. COVID burned out so many nurses. A lot of them left the healthcare industry and left a lot of hospitals to dry. But hospitals fired a lot of people too because the COVID vaccine, and then a lot of people left because they were burnt out, so they got double fucked.
And they deserved it.
Yeah, seriously.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to talk about a ruthless business, healthcare. Holy shit. Yeah. Every time I hear of a ruthless business, if you don't name healthcare, I'm like, oh, you're freaking ignorant. You know what I mean? They're crazy. You know, the shit they freaking charge, and okay, so for today, funny thing, right? So I go to get testosterone from Harmon's, and I have never gone to Harmon's before to get it, right?
Just the pharmacy?
The pharmacy, right? So I go there, and they've got 3 vials of it sitting there. You know, I'm only getting like a month and a half's worth. 3 vials there. No, 5. Sorry, 5. 5 boxes. And the price on it's $288. And I go, hey, I don't need 5 vials of this stuff. And they go, well, it's only a single shot. I'm like, what? I'm like, you telling me you've only got 0.6 milliliter in each bottle? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, why? Well, that's all we can get. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I'm kind of arguing back and forth with this chick, right? And then she goes, well, that payment right there is a cash only payment, right? So basically it was like 5 shots worth for $288, right? So I looked at her. Well, this doesn't incriminate me too much, but I looked at her and I go, you know, I can buy this on the street for like $80 for a full vial that will last me like almost 2 months. And she's like, well, that's illegal. I go, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I can go to the gym right now, find the most juiced up guy, and I can work a deal with him right now for the next 6 months.
Easy.
Yeah.
Oh, super easy. Not only that, you can almost buy it online. You know, those Canadian pharmacies and all that shit. They ship it right to you.
I get mine online through an Arizona pharmacy, and they mix it with a different oil, so it's not as thick and going in, and it's cheaper. And they give me I had the same problem at the Smith's pharmacy, but they give me the bigger bottles.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Lasts me 2 months, 1 bottle.
See, it drives me crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you start looking at that. Oh, so then they plug in my insurance, right? Well, so then they plug in my insurance, and my insurance makes them give me 28 days worth, right? So then they like almost triple the batch, paid $7. And I'm just like, it gets under my skin so bad because I'm just like, this is a racket. You have that cash price because you've got some contract. Then once the contract comes in, they say, no, we're only paying you $18 for this, and you're going to charge them $7. You know what I mean? And like at the end of the day, but then it's like, you've given me freaking, I'll show you when we leave, dude. It's like this many boxes, they've taped them all together. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Who is why would you ever fill a bottle up with a single use? It makes no sense.
I know,
it's
dude.
a complete waste of material.
The industry makes so much fucking money. It's so regulated.
Yeah.
You know, like they have so much weird ass parameters for everything.
Oh, and then they throw the insurance companies in there just to freaking screw it all up.
I mean, building a health tech company is probably like one of the most hardest things to do, you know, versus non-health tech, like building something fintech. I mean, you still got, I guess, PCI for that versus HIPAA. But I mean, health tech it's nuts, dude. There's a lot of stuff to jump through.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
The laws and regulations. I started a company a little while ago with one of my friends, and what they do is they do the testing to qualify people to be able to be medical billers, right? In India. If the audience could follow that. So what this company did is they'd go to India in a testing center, and there'd be like these massive companies there that all they would do is do billing, right? So when you went into a doctor here and you had like 5 different codes, they would send it over to these people. They'd do the billing right, submit it to the insurance company, and then, you know, ding the software back at the provider and say, okay, done, right? And they did that because Obamacare took it from it was like 4,000 codes out there that you could code, and it went up to like 25,000 codes. So these doctors were spending a god awful amount of time, right? Just billing. So if you went in for a broken arm, instead of just writing, code 7734, right? Broken arm, it had to be like, well, which bone? It had all these specifics in it that just made like billing like insanely large.
Yeah.
And so, but in order to like bill for United Health or Aetna or Blue Cross Blue Shield, any of these guys, you had to be a certified medical biller. And so they had to have these programs built that would actually certify people. And so we kind of got in this business, and we would have made a freaking shit ton of money in it, but we could never get the big boys to make our certification valid for them. And so we had this whole program built. We had all the software built.
Is that just because they were like offshore or what?
No, it's just impossible to talk to someone in United Health. So to get them to talk to us, right? It was like layer upon layer upon layer. And they're like, well, we have this. And there's only one company in the whole US that does it. One. It's actually based here in Utah. And my friend was working there. That's why he actually set up their international.
Who is it?
Division. I cannot remember the name of it. I'll tell you later. It's if you said it, I can remember. But this has been about 8 years. And they had a complete monopoly in the system. And then I don't know if United and the big boys just like knew that, and they kind of had a backdoor deal, so they were never going to approve us. But after like 6 to 8 months of us just like constantly calling, I called every day, literally every day, and just could never get to anybody. We had meetings. We had these virtual meetings. We had like phone meetings, and people were like, oh yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that's really good for us. And and nothing.
Interesting.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
You never know if they're too busy. You never know if I'm an asshole. They don't like me. I don't know.
Yeah.
They just never tell you.
Yeah. Healthcare world is, it's stingy too in general, man. I mean, I floated around to like 3 different places before I found like an actual place for hormone therapy that would actually help and look at the full spectrum of things.
Wow.
Because the first one I went to Ageless Men's, which was, it's franchised. It's all over the country. And it's just like, they don't really go over your full blood panel and look at all of your levels. And if this is off, what could be happening and all of that. And so I ended up having a lot of problems after being 8 months there. I was like, dude, something's off and you guys aren't trying to find it. So I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right. And then finally, after a couple other visits, different places, found a place called Vitalize. It was really good experience. They, it's very therapeutic too. Like they sit down and go over all of your levels in your blood, and like, they give you supplements too. Like here's fish oil, and like here's, if you buy this on Amazon, stay away from this brand and go right here. You need vitamin D. So if you're not outside, take these droppers, right? You need a probiotic. Your gut, based off what your blood is showing here, your gut is fucked. So you need to probiotics, legit ones. Here's ones to stay away from that are at Costco. Here's ones you can buy on Amazon. Make sure to check this out, the manufacturer. There you go. Like it was very like all put together, like really nice, you know? So, yeah, it's what I found is also hard too. I know you have this problem, is you need therapeutic phlebotomy done. Right? Like, dude, I got blacklisted on ARUP and Red Cross. Yeah. I asked them, I was like, hey, I need to come donate blood. And so they asked me like a five questionnaire thing. Okay, what's your name? Okay, what do you need donating blood for? What's your blood type? This and that. Are you on testosterone? Yes. Okay, well, you're blacklisted. We can't have you donate, and we don't do therapeutic phlebotomy because it's dangerous, and so we don't want to have any liability, so we can't help you. And so I've been blacklisted on ARUP and Red Cross because I'm on testosterone. So I can't, even if I wanted to donate and I had healthy blood, I can't even go donate there because I'm on testosterone and I have thick blood. So
I wonder if there's something more to that.
It was crazy, man. Like it was so like, yeah, it was like so segregated with that. It was like done.
Yeah. So
that's why I was trying to find that next place to go, and it was difficult and it's expensive. Every 6 weeks I have to go do therapeutic phlebotomy for $150. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And it, and then I saw you doing Dr. Nick. I'm just going to go see if Dr. Nick can do it.
Well, he's got Elevate Health that he needs to. They don't have brick and mortar yet.
Do you do your testosterone and stuff through Elevated Health?
Oh. No. I do mine myself.
There you go.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a doctor prescribe it, right? But like, I go get my own blood panels. I read my own blood panels and that kind of stuff.
Let's go to LabCorp.
No, it's a different one. They do 24-hour return. I cannot remember the name of it. I'll figure it out and tell you. Oh, it's actually the one that's in Nick's office. So have you ever been to Nick's place? Mm-mm. So Nick there's like his spa in there. There's like his surgery center. Then there's like his offices. And up top, there's like another 4 or 5 different medical providers. And it's one of the ones up top. Mm. So you just go up there, get it done. They email you the results in like 24 hours and you're off to the races. But yes, you have the same problem, right? You have the high hematocrit. And so you got to, you go every 6 weeks?
Yeah, 6 to 8 depends. Sometimes I go more, man. Sometimes I go every 4 weeks. Because my hemocritic sits around 52 and my hemoglobin's around like 18.1 to 19.
Oh, geez.
So it's like super thick, and I can feel it in my heart. My heart is like it feels like I'm about to go do a talk in front of a bunch of people or something. Like it feels like that kind of nerves when you get that heart pounding, but it feels like that all the time. So then after I get my blood drawn, do the therapeutic phlebotomy, I'm like, I actually feel it calm down. Like it's normal regulating now.
Okay.
So it's weird. My family naturally runs thicker blood. I think my brother, who's not even on testosterone, has been doing therapeutic phlebotomy for years now. I was talking to a doctor and they say, actually, people who live in states with this elevation, your body will naturally produce, a thicker blood in order to attach more oxygen to the molecules in your blood because you need more oxygen at this level of elevation. Yeah. So you'll naturally run thicker blood is what one doctor told me too. So most Utahns, people here in the Midwest that are in the mountain areas naturally run thicker blood compared to those in like California. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to just do it for like 3 months in a row, and then I'd get another blood test, and then I used to be a biorestoration that's where I started getting my testosterone replacement stuff. And they would just take it out there, and then I wouldn't do it for like 8 months. Normally, actually, I start feeling really lethargic. Like if I'm ever like super tired, because I don't know if you've noticed when you're around me, I'm never tired, right? Like I can go to bed at 1 o'clock and get up at 5, no problem, right?
Yeah.
And then I started looking more red than usual. Like I've been out in the sun a lot. And my wife normally is the one that tells me. She goes, "You're looking really red. Go get some blood taken." I'm like, okay.
Really?
And so, yeah. But I've had a hard time finding places that will do the blood. And so that's why Nick does it for me is I can't find another place. And so.
Yeah, I've only found one in Utah. One in Utah that does, they're only there for therapeutic blood and they do it.
Which seems crazy. There's got to be a shit ton of people that need that.
I mean, it's a great business if you're the only one in Utah because there's a lot of people on TRT in Utah.
I know they have to dispose of the blood a certain way. And I know that costs them some money, but outside of that, I mean, it's pretty cheap. It's like,
yeah, dude, I had the place I went to that I found the weirdest way they've ever taken blood. First off, they did it in my bicep. Never had a IV go in my bicep before. They're like,
oh, weird.
Yeah, I usually like it right on the crease or below the crease on my arm, and we're good. The bicep was kind of cool though, because I could move my arm all over the place. I don't have to worry about anything fucking around in there. Yeah. So that was nice. But then they used syringes, and they would put these massive syringes in the tube, and then they would pull back the syringe, and the blood would just pull and fill into the tube. Dude, the first 3 syringes, it took me a minute to get used to it. I could feel my blood sucking through the little tube, like getting pulled out, not pumped out.
Did it hurt or was it just weird?
Dude, it was just weird. And I started to get lightheaded, and she's like, "Are you okay? You getting blood before?" I'm like, "Yeah, all the time. I usually love it. I don't mind. I think it's fascinating to look at. Yeah. I like playing with the ball and seeing how quickly I can fill it up, and it's like, but this is making me queasy because I feel like I feel like getting pulled out of my arm, and it just felt weird. It was the weirdest thing ever. I'm like, why don't you guys use bags? They're like, it hasn't been appropriate protocol for us to use bags. I'm like, I've never seen anyone use a syringe.
Yeah, I've never seen a syringe. It's always been a bag.
Yeah, and they were fat syringes. They were huge. And it was like.
How many did they pull out?
8 full syringes. They pulled out, it was a unit of blood, however much that is.
Yeah, like 500 milliliters, I think.
I felt great after though. Usually after I give blood a unit, I'm a little like, okay, I need some apple juice or Jolly Rancher or something. But yeah, since I've been on testosterone, every time I give it, I feel more alive. I'm like, yes, because I have too much now.
Yeah. But yeah, it is nice when you give it. It really does. I don't know. Like mine takes about. I don't get lightheaded or anything. I can stand up. I can walk. Like when I walked out of Nick's office the other day, it was funny because the nurses, who all know me by the way, because they'll follow Nick on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're like, how you feeling? I'm like, just super lightheaded. See you guys. They're all,
like,
just kidding.
Come back and sit down.
Yeah, sit down. Yeah. You know, they always bring me juice and crackers and all this stuff, and I'm in there, and I'm like, I don't need any crackers. I'm fat enough. Just give me some juice.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's, gosh, I know. They call it bloodletting. So whatever they call it. I'm always
Bloodletting?
Letting. Letting. Letting.
Letting.
I don't know, because it's been called for a long time. I guess they used to do that for diseases back in the day, where they would do bloodletting to, like, I don't know, thin your blood, I guess, and let out the demons, you know, like the 1800s.
Totally.
So
I remember when I was doing fitness coaching online, that was always the first thing I'd have people get checked. Before I'd even start with somebody, I would have them go do a full blood panel and get it to me, and then I would have someone who's professional in that side look at the blood panel and tell me where they're off, what they need, and then I would give them a list of supplements they could buy. And I would always, anyone who had low testosterone, I'd be like, dude, it's going to be pointless for you to build any muscle at the rate you want to, being at 400 testosterone. Like, you need to be at least at, like, I don't know, 650 to 850, you know, and you can start having some more results. And I don't think that's like the end all be all, but dude, I build muscle so much faster when I have all my levels in balance, all my hormones in balance, right? Not just testosterone, but it's really hard to build anything if I don't have any testosterone.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
when I started taking mine when I was about 34 is when I got on it. And dude, my 20s, bro, I was a freaking machine, dude. Like, I could, like, work for 14 hours, labor or at my desk or, like, whatever. I go home, be happy, do whatever. And I remember, dude, when I was like 33, 34, I was like falling asleep like 3 PM. I was just like, oh shit, dude, I'm so freaking tired. And I was talking to one of my personal trainer buddies, right? And he's like, have you ever had your levels tested? And I'm like, no, freaking 34. Like, what do you mean? You know, I'm massive. I can put muscle on easy. Yeah. He goes, go check your levels, dude. Like, it's, you know, you're like poster boy for this stuff. I'm like, all right. I go in there, get a blood test done. The freaking doctor's all, yeah, dude, you're at 206.
Holy shit.
And I was like, cool, what does that mean? And he's like, oh, you're way low, dude. Like,
you got
super
7
low.
years old.
Yeah.
Testosterone levels.
So you know, it was funny the first time I met him, he's like, come here. And he pulls out a testosterone shot, just sticks it right in my stomach, right? And just shoots it. And I'm like, what's that? He goes, it's testosterone. He goes, come back here in a week and we'll talk about how you feel about this, you know? And I was like, okay. And holy shit, dude. Like 24 hours later, 36 hours later, I was like, freak, I felt like Superman. Like, my muscles were harder. Like, you know, I woke up every morning the way you're supposed to wake up when you're on testosterone. And
oh yeah, I know that.
Like, ready to roll.
Yep, that's right.
And so, yeah, but I just try and keep my levels. I try and keep them at 800. If they're at 700, great. But like 800. And so it's wild. Have you ever done steroids?
No.
I did one round when I was like 33. And that was wild. So you get your levels to like 1800. Yeah. And then, but you feel like a Greek god, dude. You just freaking slam weight around. And
I would get my levels to 1200, like not at the peak, at the trough. The trough would be at 1200, and that's when I was putting on some serious muscle. It's interesting. It's, you know, I got off testosterone. I just barely got back on it a month ago. I was off of it for 3 months. And around 3, I would get really tired. So I would save the gym time. I would stop going in the morning. I would save it for 4:30 so I could get at least all my work stuff done. So I wasn't gassed after the gym getting all that done, or I wouldn't get anything done. Yeah. But my wife actually is the one, she came downstairs and she goes, hey, guess what? I found a place that's a hormone therapy place, and you got a testosterone appointment to Thursday at this time and that. And it was like a Monday. I was like, what the fuck? Because my wife was she's against all that, you know, the synthetic stuff. She's all natural, right? And all of this. And so she was not so much for it when we were first getting into a hormone therapy. And then after of me being off of it, she saw such a difference in both my energy, and our sex life was non-existent. Yeah. Like, we hadn't had sex. This was not even in my awareness for 3 weeks. Oh, really? And she's like, yeah. And she was like, my wife's not the kind of person that's going to come up and be like, when she starts to feel the agitation, to talk about it. She's going to kind of let it wind out. She's going to make sure there's enough data points there for it to build up to be like, okay, there's a problem, and now we need to talk about it, right? Yeah. Which is nice, because that way I'm not always on blast. There's some data before I'm on blast, right? But she came up to me after about 3 weeks of that. She was like, told me all that, and I was like, wow. I was like, why do you want me to get back on testosterone? I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, we haven't had sex in 3 weeks. And I'm about fed up with it. And I was like, really? It's been 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Literally just wasn't in my awareness because I didn't have any of those natural tendencies at all firing or, present in my body, right? So I didn't wake up with the morning erection, nothing, dude. Like, it was crazy. When I got back on testosterone, it was like normal again.
Yeah.
Sex life was back to normal. My energy was back to normal. Sleep patterns were back to normal. It's just nuts when you're not in your levels, how off you are as not just a man, but a woman too, So.
Oh yeah. No, the thing too is like what people don't get is you need to sleep. Your body needs a certain amount of sleep. And if you don't hit that, dude, you are like wrecking yourself. You're aging yourself. Yeah. And so like it's funny. I can function really well in 6.5 hours of sleep, which is generally all I get now. And I'm wide awake all day. I never need a nap. I'm always super happy. But I read all these reports or people's expert opinions. They're just like, dude, if you don't have 7.5 hours, and it like gets in my head sometimes. And I'm like, I need to sleep more. But like, I literally cannot. I have an internal clock that just wakes me up. So if I go to bed at 9, bro, I'm up at like 3:34.
You feel good.
Right. Oh, I can't go back to sleep. Even if I try, and that's with the CPAP machine on, right? Which kind of like pressurizes you into like going to bed. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I normally hit the sack like 10:30, 11, something like that. And up about 5:30, 6. Yeah. Whatever.
That's exactly, that's my sleep schedule.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I always just kind of figure it's like, I feel like in my body, if it needed more sleep, it would sleep more. So yeah.
It is interesting. Because once you kind of start paying closer attention, you start to wonder how your health was previously before you started noticing issues. Like when I was working at Divvy internally as their head of talent acquisition, I was working 80-hour weeks constantly. Like the full 3 years, I was just on grind mode. They never even hired another recruiter up until I left because I was just filling everything because I was just constantly working, building their operations, their process, and filling all their recs. All of them from go-to-market, R&D, G&A, I was covering it all. And I realized and I was on testosterone or anything, but when I got back more into the entrepreneurial side of recruiting and more into consulting, dude, I've not been able to keep, even on testosterone, an 80 work week consistently since then. So I don't know, it's hard for me to develop an opinion around burnout. I do believe in it, but dude, those 3 years of grind, it's almost like you can't stop. Because if you stop and start to let off the gas a little bit, like it's hard to really get back to that. I can sit around 60 hours a week and be great. Like I'm really solid between 40 and 60. After 60, oh dude, I start to tap. I start to be unproductive. Yeah. So, which is interesting because before I could go a lot longer and be fine. And maybe I could go more if it was a passion project because it was invigorating my soul, So I don't know, I'm playing around a lot in the self-discovery of what that looks like, of what I can achieve with more hyper-focused work under 60 hours a week. And not just working my ass off all the time and all of that. But
when you're in a good position, you're at 30 right now, right? Like, you could sit real heavy there, especially if you set your life up probably till 35, 36. And then it's like, you do get it at a point, which I hate to admit. I think most people in their 40s will admit this, right? Where you're kind of like, oof, that's a lot, really almost. So here's my goal for 2024, right? I'm only going to work 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. That's it. Like literally, that's it. I'm going to go from 10 to 12, and then I'm going to go from 12 to 2. I'm going to take a break. I'm either going to go do hot yoga or jujitsu or something like super physical during that time. Come back, and then I'm going to work from 2 to 4, and then I'm done. 4 o'clock, I'm done. Like timer goes off, boom. It doesn't matter if I'm in the middle of an email. Like I'm out of there. And the reason I'm going to do that is it's going to force me to be so hyper efficient with those 2-hour blocks that I don't have time to mess around at all. Like I'm not going to take a phone call. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Like it's going to have to be set up and planned and efficient and just crazy efficient. Yeah. And I'm going to try it for 3 months and see if it works and see what adjustments I need to make. But I think my quality of life will shoot through the roof if I do that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I whenever I have to put somebody on like a PIP in our company, it's kind of funny because they think I'm going to come in with this plan of like 80-hour work weeks just because you're going to hit this. It's actually way more hyper-focused because and usually I give this, try to give this to people too before they started the company. But we hire top-notch people. So usually it's zero hand-holding, just kind of let them do their thing. But when it comes to PIP, I'm like, it's okay, you're going to do it my way now. Yeah. Right. And see if that works better. And it's so simple, dude. Like I say after 5, like I don't want you working after 5 and I don't want you working on the weekends unless it's 2 hours on a Saturday to play catch up on whatever you missed Monday through Friday. Yeah. Because then it's like, if you're giving them permission to just work 80 hours a week and go all out, they're not going to have, and at least from what I've noticed, they're not going to use that core productivity time to just be laser focused. If I give them like, oh, no, this is the finish line. After 5, like stop working. I don't want to see anything come into our CRM anymore after this, right? Then they are laser focused. You know, though a lot of our employees have kids too, and they're working around their kids' schedules because we work remote, so they kind of help their wives out. Mm-hmm. So it's like one guy recently, I was like, he helps his kids in the morning. So I'm like, wake up at 5, from 5 to 7, you get 2 hours of your core productivity work done. Whatever that rock is, the most important rock of the day is you need to knock out. Great. It's like, I know you like hitting the gym, so here's an hour and a half for your gym time. Then here's like, you know, your eating time, so all of that. I'm like, and then there was small gaps, dude. 2 hours here, 2 hours here, and 2 hours there. Core productivity time. That gives you 6 hours in a day to just knock out whatever you need to out. And they are way more efficient, way more productive when they were working 8 hours a day nonchalantly because they're like, oh, it's 3 right now. I mean, I can work 3 more hours. I can plug it back in after, you know, before I go to bed for like another hour. Because then they give themselves those outs and then they don't end up plugging back in before they go to bed. They end up turning on Netflix or something because they're tired at that point after with the kids all day, work all day. Yeah. So like, I love that schedule. It's like what's that book? The 4-Hour Work Week?
I've heard of it. I've never read it.
Yeah. It's very similar to the things. Yeah. I'm the same way though. Yeah. I only read a book when there's something I don't know that I need to, I don't just read to read. Yeah. You know? Cause again, I think the same way. I just like 13 hours of my life I just wasted, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So I love that. I want to get to a point. I'm not at that point yet because I have so many responsibilities right now where I have to be hyper-focused across many different things, not just one thing, but yeah, that's the goal. Yeah. It's the dream.
No, and I think it's obtainable too, right? I think you can do that. I also know a lot of wealthier guys, right? And they kind of do the same thing. It's all different. Everyone's got their different thing that makes sense for them, right? But like I met one guy and he is so intent on like lunch breaks, right? Like they're scheduled, bam, don't show up here. And that's kind of where the 2-hour block in there comes from. Yeah. And he's like, everyone needs a mental break. So you just go get a mental break and then come back and hit it hard. He's also a guy that's like, make your people take their vacation. Cause you know, some people on a bank vacation or they they want to like take like a Thursday off or a Friday off. They don't want to like take a full week. Right. And it's like, you need to make them take a full week off and you should encourage them to get the hell out of the state. Right. Like, so that their life is like, not just this constant, like, show up to work every day. Still I never leave. I'm always with my kids, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, dude, that individual needs some like get out of here time, like go try something, have an experience, release, come back. Cause you know, everyone who goes on vacation generally comes back pretty invigorated. Totally. Or they hate their job and they realize they hate their job and you get them out of there because someone who hates their job, you don't want them working for you anyways. Yeah. Become inspired in different ways. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have found the more living I do, the more productive I am at work. Like I think every single month this year, we've gone on some week-long trip. Yeah. You know, and it has taken a ton of time away from work. You know, but I've also been able to be a lot more productive in the times I am at work. So I'm like, I have this really good balance of living and still getting paid kind of a thing, right? So if you do it, I've noticed if you do it way too much, because there's been a couple of times where it's like, oh, week here, a couple weeks back at work, a week there. I'm like, you do need to dial in and buckle down. I ended up canceling the Spain trip. I'm not going to that anymore. I'm furious. I know. And I may be canceling a Brazil trip that I'm going to in June as well for ayahuasca. But I mean, it's like, yeah, because I have to, I'm to the point now where I went on too many back-to-back trips. Now I'm behind. So now I got to do 3 months of focused work. So I hit it hard. And then come August, September, I'll go to Hawaii again and kind of do it again. But yeah, you don't want to take a break too long from living if you can't afford it. Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah. So what are you excited for in the future? There's a lot, man. We want to move. I want to get out of Utah, but we don't want to go somewhere too exotic. Like we tried Miami. It was
way too fast paced, way too electric. We're thinking Arizona. I want to go into Arizona and Sedona.
Oh, Sedona, Arizona.
Yeah, smaller area, Red Rock, quiet. This is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning. I need to find yourself to find your own greatness, or what greatness means for you.
Yeah.
I always thought I wanted, like, you know, what all of like the rich people in Utah do, right? Like Sean Whalen and all those guys, and who's the guy that sold the water company? Ryan
Bowen.
Yeah, Bowen. Like, dude, I don't care about the big house and all the toys and Lamborghini. I don't care about all that. I want I want like 20 to 50 acres of property. I want my main house. I want a greenhouse. I want a big like retreat center. And then I want a bunch of cabins, like really nice cabins on it, like five cabins. And I just want it to be this massive place where family and friends can come stay, can host retreats out of, you know, and really I just need the money to get the stuff built. And then I can start cash flowing to pay the rest back, right, on the cabins and stuff. Because I want to make it real freaking nice. And Sedona is a nice area. A lot of places to hike and walk around and stuff too. Kind of desolate in terms of like when you look at places like Hawaii or Florida or the Carolinas or something like that. But that's like what I'm very invigorated by. Because, you know, me and my wife were huge in the health space, breathwork facilitators, and we do a lot of that evenings and weekends. Now Courtney's getting certified in Cambo. So we'll start adding that into our services in end of May. And I want it to be a place of healing, a place of like retreat, true retreat, where you don't need a vacation from the vacation. Your soul is so rejuvenated. You go back home and it's like, you're just at this, like you're at this higher level of frequency and you just feel good, and you get to bring that into your workplace. You get to bring that into your place of home. People get to see you differently. Yeah. And, it doesn't take much, man, to get to that point. It just takes literally being in a place where you have no distractions. Like, I'm not going to have all these flat screen TVs and stuff and make it like these really nice Airbnb cabins. It's going to be very medicine feel, right? And they don't have to come there to do medicine or to be involved in anything, but it's a place they really can root, ground. Maybe they want to get their kids off their iPads, you know, and from technology and from all of these distractions, like go to a place where they can't have access to that, you know, and they just learn to be outside. They learn to, you know, be creative and come up with their own things to do and all of that. And maybe in the retreat center, I have a bunch of traveling, ongoing facilitators that come in and do yoga, come in and do energy work, whatever like that. And so when people come on site, there's like at the retreat house, which is going to be massive, right? It has a bunch of different things that they can do and get involved with that help with their healing or help with their integrating, help with their grounding, relaxing, getting back into their body, getting out of that crazy frequency of our mind. Yeah. Like that is my ultimate dream. That's what I want to do. And I want to keep it super simple. You know, I don't want to like build this massive corporation where I have tons of these retreat centers and stuff like that. You know, like I just want our main compound, if you will, which probably isn't the right word to use in Utah. You know?
It is what it is.
But yeah, like I want a big compound, family, friends, strangers, people who just need love, need help, need grounding, need space to just clear and get back to their roots and set a new tone for their life. Like that's what I want to do. And just make enough to cash flow. I know. Yeah. You want to do it too? Yeah. Like, yeah, just fuck, dude. I don't need the Lamborghini. I've been thinking a lot about that. Like, every time before I buy something, I always ask myself, if I was the last person in the world, is this something I would purchase for myself? Yeah. And I've saved so much money, and I've also bought completely different things, you know, because I still want to buy stuff that makes me feel good and, you know, feel earned. Like I love to dress nice. I spend money on boots, spend money on hats, nice clothes, because I like to show up in a way, like if I was going to meet the divine spirit or God or the universe, the source, whoever it was, your deity is, if I was to meet them today, how would I like to be dressed? How would I like to feel in what I'm wearing? Yeah. Right? Like that's how I like to think, you know, and I'd be fine naked too, but can't walk around naked. So I'm going to look nice in how I want to dress every day. Even when I work remote, I dress like this because it puts me in a certain vibration and frequency. When I get on calls and I meet people, I come off as that person that's approachable. Yeah. Right. So yeah, everyone has their own thing, but yeah, man, that's ultimately what I'm excited about. And I just need to find the land. Once I find the land, I can make the financing work with the land, 5-year plan to make everything come together. After that 5-year plan, I can cash flow off of everything else. It doesn't need to be much, just enough to kind of pay for everything. And then that's where that's where my vision will start to come into play, you know.
It's funny, Michelle and I really like Arizona. Really like Arizona.
Let's hunt together, man. If we can get like-minded people next to each other doing this kind of thing.
There's a lot of people down there that love this stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Arizona's a gold mine right now. Yeah, Utah is interesting because Utah needs a lot of healing. There's a lot of traumatized people here, but Utah's filled with healing predators. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's like almost oversaturated. Like since I got into the breathwork space, how many people are trying to come in here and do breathwork is nuts.
Yeah.
You know? So it's almost like me and Courtney can really create a name for ourselves and divide ourselves into kind of our own category of what we specialize in. Yeah. But like, we want to go check out Arizona. There's something there. Feeling called to.
You've been to Sedona before?
Visited in passing. Okay. Like nothing. So I actually want to go there. I hear there's like even vortexes and stuff there.
Suppose there's vortexes everywhere. In fact, Dakota and I were just there a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, we went down for Nick's birthday.
Oh, heck yeah.
And so it was my first time in Sedona. I liked it a lot. It was, we did a hike to like the 7 ponds or 7 miracle ponds or whatever the freak you call it.
That's awesome.
We actually did a meditation there, and it's one of the vortexes, and I don't know, man, it felt peaceful. You know, I actually roll through life with a pretty open mind, right? Even though you'll hear me joke about stuff, especially like the plant medicine world and breathwork world, right? Like it's hippie-ish, right?
Totally hippie-ish.
But I like it.
Yeah.
You know, like it sometimes when I'm doing it, I'm also just like, dude, this is the most hippie shit ever. I know. And I'm like, but yeah, I like it. It feels good. Just let things happen. You know, just enjoy the moment.
It's funny because 5 years ago, we were, trash talking those people.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then it's like, hey, they were onto something.
Well, it cracks me up now. I joke with people all the time. I go, isn't it weird that the hippies had it right in the 60s and we're just barely really figuring it out in the 2020s?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, dude.
I think there's going to be an explosion of mental health and like energy work. Right?
100%.
Really, to me, all of this stuff is all energy work. You know, it doesn't matter what discipline that you're really rolling in, from yoga to, plant medicine to whatever, right? It's all about your energy and looking inside you and feeling safe and feeling competent and then being the best version of yourself and showing up the way that you want to show up.
Yeah.
It's interesting saying those things. I think a lot of people nod to that, right? And then, but like when you really dive into it, you're like, yeah, I'm important. I'm special. I want to show up a certain way, especially to the people that I love,
Yeah.
Because I'm with you, bro. The Lamborghinis and stuff, like, I could appreciate it. And I think if it's like been your dream your whole life to buy one, like go get one. I don't even fit in the damn things. So my dream of like the supercars was gone like 20 years ago. My friend's mom bought an Aston Martin, right? A drop top DB9, I think. And the V12 Vanquish was like my freaking dream car. It was like the only poster of a car I ever had growing up, right? And so I've been this big since I was like probably 17, right?
Yeah.
And she gets it and she's like, jump in it, take it for a spin, blah, blah, blah. I get in that thing, dude, it looked like a freaking Mazda Miata, bro. It like came up to like my chest, the windshield. I'm like sitting in this car and I'm like, dude, I can never drive one of these damn things. And every time I've jumped in a Lambo, it's just like me, freaking contorting my body in this thing. My ass is like 4 inches off the ground. It's like a full squat, right? I'm like, this sucks.
So true.
And I could just, I don't know. It'd be fun to get in a debate with the guys that own them, right? But I'm telling you, I know a lot of them at the end of the day are just like, it's just for flash and it's just for whatever.
And I have no judgment against those guys. I want to either. And I have had this conversation with somebody like, you're telling me if you had the money right now, you had no money problems, you wouldn't buy a Lamborghini. I'm like, no. If I had like, fuck you money at the yazoo, like $500 million, sure, I might have a Lamborghini and, but I would, maybe not. Maybe I would buy one for 6 months and then sell it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did with my Tesla. I bought, after I made my first 7 figures, I went and bought a Tesla Model X, and I was like, because I loved it. It's a family car, it can go fast. It was awesome. But then after I bought it, I sold it quickly too. I was like, it actually isn't as fun as I thought it was, And I just went back to a Ford. So I was like, so yeah, I don't know. I think we just have different priorities, different beliefs, different motives, and whatever that is for each person, to each their own. That's great.
Well, one funny thing with what you're saying, right? Like people like, if you could afford it, it's like anyone can afford it. Mm-hmm. Well, not anyone, but a lot of people could spend $1,500 a month on a lease to get one of these stupid things.
Yeah.
Which is even worse. Mm-hmm. The maintenance on them are insane. I don't know. I I think my biggest problem with guys that have driven Lamborghinis, if I was being like very, very honest, is most of them are so fraudulently unwealthy that I look at them and I'm like, bro, I know you were involved in this deal and you pulled out of it at the last second because you don't have the freaking money. But every day on your Instagram, you're flying around in a Lamborghini like some douchebag.
Yeah.
It's like you're fake, you know? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think I know one person who has like a $50 million net worth personally that owns a Lamborghini. Not one.
Yeah, because they're smart with their money.
Yeah, it's just
they have their priorities
so
straight.
many other things that they would buy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of like, one of the wealthiest guys I know is out in Texas, and his family's, they're in natural gas, so they own like massive plots of land, and they own ranches and all sorts of shit. They all drive trucks, all of them. They don't give a rip. It just doesn't matter. And trucks are so damn nice nowadays that it's like, you know, you just, that car's perfect for you. You can tow stuff, you can grab, you know. I don't know. It's just, gosh, every time I get, and then, I would just see these cars and I'm like, dude, I mean, some Lamborghinis now are up to like $800,000.
Yeah.
And it's like,
more. Jesus.
What are you doing with this thing?
Yeah.
You know?
I know. It's more than a mortgage.
And they're cool. Don't get me wrong. They're cool. But I just don't, to me, it just has never equaled success. Like most of the time, it's always equaled fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And when I was first raising money for my first PE fund, 10, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, I just remember saying, like, it was so hard to raise money, right? Because we'd never done anything. I was young. I was like 30, right? And it was like I have no credibility on the street, you know what I mean? Like, and that kind of stuff. And I just saw these guys, they would like lease a Lamborghini, go raise a bunch of money because people would just be like, oh, he's got a Lamborghini. I better, he knows what he's doing. And it's like, holy shit, and then they lose all this money. And I don't know if you paid attention to all the Ponzi schemes that have happened in the last 15 years here in Utah, but there's a ton of them. And I'm telling you, about every one of those dudes owned a Lamborghini.
Totally.
Because it just tells people that they think that they're successful.
100%. Yeah.
So
Wes Watson? He's been on like on all of the cards at the big events, that like Ryan and even Jimmy's been on, and Sean Whalen, all those guys. He was in prison for 10 years, came out, was a self-made millionaire within like the first year. Now he's making millions of dollars a month, all from online coaching through social media. Cause he's one of those guys that where the system actually did rehabilitate him because he let it do that, or he was reading philosophic books, applying that act every day into becoming a better person, got out, and he already had the discipline, all of that internal self-work for 10 years of undivided attention, no distractions. He came in and just put himself to work and self-made. And this is this is one part like I really agree with, right? Perception is reality. And so he loves the big houses, the swimming pools with the half naked chicks and stuff, and like the everything, all of that. And he's always capturing it on Instagram. And I got coached by him for 6 months, and I had my wife get coached by him for 3 months to help us build our online business, which he's really incredible at. But he said to me, he's like, bro, you're not buying the Lamborghini for you. You're buying it for the people. He's like, they got to look at you and see something because you got to get their heads to turn. You have to have some kind of perception that's going to turn people's heads to get you to listen to you. Once you get their heads to turn and they're looking at you and listening, now you can change them. Now you can help them because now they want what you want. They're jealous and envy what you have. Now you can change their what's making them currently not who they want to be and a bad person or whoever it is they're at. And you can now have that influence. So I really liked that perspective, like becoming this prop, everything being a prop to, maneuver people's perception into getting them to listen and to you. And then you end up changing them and influencing them. But at the same time, you're like, when we started doing that, it wasn't aligning with me because I was like, well, I'm still gaming off this fake perception about what life really is. And this isn't it. Because I've come back from bougie vacations. Like I came back from the Bahamas, drained, dude. It was one of those, I needed a vacation from the vacation. Yeah. I went to Arizona in the desert, the Saharan desert for a week. I didn't do shit. I meditated, I relaxed. I did Hape and Sananga, and I just talked with people, sat around the fire, played guitar and sang, did wholesome things, came back, and I got so many comments about, what are you doing? Like, you're just totally different. Like, you're so much more inviting, you're approachable. Like, I want to be around you. I got that from everybody consistently for about the next week until my programming came back from the matrix of getting back in life and I was back to who I was, right? But yeah, it's just different, and it's crazy different, like what you get to figure out what's really wholesome in life and what's real and why we're really here. And it's to connect, it's to love, it's to feel, not to put on this facade of things we would never buy if we were the last person on earth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I think the only worldly thing that tempts me is a private jet.
Well, that's convenient though too.
Because it's convenient. Yeah. No, like for real.
Yeah,
like
super convenient.
It would actually save me so much freaking time.
Why don't you get a private jet subscription? They're like 150 grand a year.
I don't know. I've never looked into it.
Yeah. Someone you can easily afford that. I was thinking about doing that for a year, and I was like, dude, that'd just be dumb. I'm not the level where I'm going to take a 10th of my income and start doing that. Right. So maybe a 50th once I get there, but a 10th, no. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, and it's awesome. Like, you can coordinate with the pilots. Like, I think the only thing you pay for is the jet fuel. You have the subscription, and then everything else, like you get food service. You get to go anywhere you want, anytime you want. You can have, I think there's like small fees for immediate booking, like last minute booking within like a week. Yeah, dude, like the private jet subscription's awesome. That's what like Sean Whalen and all those guys, I think, have used here in Utah up until before they bought their own jet, for those that have. But yeah, I would do that rather than buying my own jet, unless I had sort of money where I could justify it. But yeah, when you buy your own jet, your own yacht, I mean, it's way more expensive to maintain and have than to buy in the first place. Oh, yeah. But if you're subscribing to it, then you're just paying a subscription. You don't have any of the liability.
Yeah.
You have all the convenience.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there.
Because you travel a lot too, so you could probably be worth it.
Yeah, I think once we should have, I'm trying to wrap up almost every NBA team by the end of next year. And I think once we do that, a private jet actually might make a lot of sense, because then I can go see clients quickly. Yeah. There's 30 teams, right? If I saw one team once a month, it's like the whole month. Yeah. Right? But if you have a jet, you can bounce around and see a bunch. Yeah. Really, really quickly. You could probably knock them all out in like 10 days. Totally. Or faster. Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyhow. Yeah. Well, my friend, we've hit the end. You believe that? It's been about an hour and a half.
Love it. We can keep going.
I know I go for a long time. So I need your best 2 minutes of advice, though. Let the people know. What does Bryson think?
Best 2 minutes of advice, just for life? That's a good one. Best 2 minutes of advice. I would say, don't live life like you have a second chance. Like, don't live life like what majority of Americans do. Like, oh, we're here for Adam and Eve's transgression. We're here because we're not actually supposed to be here. We're here because, we're even, like it just happened, and now we have to make do, and we're just going to wait till we get to heaven and it'll all be good. I'll just golf for eternity or whatever it is, right? And even if you're not religious, so many people don't understand, like this could be your only life. We honestly don't know what's next. We can have visions, we can do all this stuff on psychedelics, we could learn all of these mysterious things, but at the end of the day, who are we to deter that actually being our mind and our own exploration of what we want to be real versus what is actually real? It's all relative. So what is actual reality, right? And so I think just live as if this was your only life, your only chance. Like when I look at my kids, let's say incarnation was real or something, right? Reincarnation. Like, it doesn't mean I'm going to have my daughter Marley, my son Bentley ever again in the kids that they are right now. I'm never going to have my wife, who I have right now, as Courtney ever again in this lifetime, in this current state, right? It's not going to happen, right? You can get into quantum physics and talk about, dual realities and all of this. And it's like, but all of that's happening right now. So the best thing you can do is live life as if you have one life and the only life, and live with a sense of urgency, because you don't want it to just go by and not have done anything. You really want to live it. And you don't want to be focused so much on a plan because our Creator has its own plan, So just be present in every moment because that's all that's real. The past is over with. The future doesn't exist. So this life in the moment is the only thing that we know for sure is real. So start living that way.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.